Here now, with reaction, I'm sure they have opinions. Trump 2024 National Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt, Outkick founder Clay Travis, and Fox News contributor Miranda Devine. Welcome aboard, everyone. You know, just 13 days, really, since the assassination attempt. We had the RNC. We've had this switch out with Joe Biden. Every day, it's like a roller coaster. There's Trump speaking, you know, at a fundraiser and being his old self. He sounds great. It's an astounding series of events that I don't think is going to stop, really. And Karoline, you're in the front of this. It's a remarkable period of time with now facing this odd dynamic from the Democrats. How is the Trump campaign looking at this, and what is the president feeling about if she becomes his opponent?
Well, we are more optimistic and confident than ever than President Trump, that President Trump is going to be victorious on November the 5th. If Kamala Harris is the Democrat Party's nominee, as you mentioned, Barack Obama endorsed her. The Democrats are making a big deal of that, but he also endorsed Hillary Clinton back in 2016. Ask her how that turned out for her. Look, this election is going to be won by President Trump because Kamala Harris and the Democrat Party have put the American people through hell over the past 4 years. Kamala Harris has supported 100% of the policies that Joe Biden has implemented that have created the worst inflation crisis in a generation, a wide open border crisis, war, chaos, and instability around this world. And President Trump will continue for the next 102 days to share his optimistic, unifying message of strength, of bringing success and safety and security back to this country. And we will force Kamala Harris to answer for not only her complacency in supporting Joe Biden's terrible policies, but her own failed and dangerously liberal record as a senator from the very liberal state of California. She's weak, she's incompetent, she's the most unpopular vice president in history.
Caroline, it leads me into what I want to ask Clay, in that people are forgetting, I think, what a horrible candidate she was. We remember Hillary being awful, but my goodness, the stories that came out when she dropped out in 2019 about the chaos in the campaign, the bullying, no vision, there was just a lack of clarity. Nobody knew what was going on. Do you see that returning, or do you think Kamala's learned something?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And the most important thing that may well have happened in the last couple of weeks is Karoline Leavitt had a baby, and she's on here dominating with a newborn. So that is absolutely incredible. Congratulations,
Bravo,
Karoline, on that. It is really amazing how you're already back up and throwing punches on behalf of the guy who needs to be the next president of the United States. Let me say this. Kamala Harris is an awful candidate. Democrats unbelievably had tons of time to look at her in the 2020 campaign, and she dropped out before votes started. And the only thing that she managed to accomplish on that campaign was calling the president that she ended up serving as vice president for a racist. Democrats didn't like her. She was a failure in her own campaign. She hasn't gotten a single vote so far in 2024. They've destroyed democracy. They've thrown the 14 million votes that Joe Biden got out the window, and now she is the nominee. And here is what I think is ultimately going to happen. She's got a little bit of a honeymoon. She's a new face. People are reacting. There's a new storyline there. The problem is they've thrown everything they can, the entire kitchen sink at Donald Trump. There are no more insults. There are no more attacks. People don't know the truth about Kamala. They don't know about how much of a failure she was at the border. They don't understand necessarily how much of a disaster she has been on inflation, on crime. The fact that she supported defunding the police and raised money for everybody in Minnesota that was burning that city down. The fact that she still has a tweet up saying, of all things, that Jussie Smollett is a victim of a modern-day lynching. She's a liar, she's a bad candidate, and she's going to get exposed as all the truth begins to come out.
You know, as I've mentioned to the audience, no one here has any opinions, so it's really good to figure that out. You know, I have to say, Miranda, you know, when we think about and remember Kamala Harris coming, she was, in the beginning, the anointed one in 19. She came out, was like, everybody loved her, and yet now we've got the media. It's embarrassing now. It's almost like a panic, the way that we see these messages, the lies, that she's the second coming. Oh my God, she's fresh. She's the enemy of the status quo. Really trying to remake this entire history. Things going into the memory hole blatantly. that they just, is it a panic or is it hubris, or do you think it will work?
Look, it's just more fakery because they're trying to elevate her as the candidate to beat Donald Trump. And the problem they have is that she is a shockingly bad candidate. She is just intrinsically unlikable. She's inauthentic. She's insincere. She's fake. And women in particular pick that up and don't like it. They see her as someone, a woman who is a man's woman, not a woman's woman. I don't know if men maybe are more fooled by it, but you just see that Barack Obama and Michelle Obama little video there. Obviously, they were not incredibly keen and eager to do it, because I counted, it was less than 20 seconds that they were actually speaking. They spoke 55 words between them, a combined total. You could not have had a less enthusiastic, smaller endorsement. And, you know, she tried to inflate it by having all these extra takes as if she was talking to them. She's on the speakerphone pretending she's on the phone. The whole thing is just emblematic of the fakery around Kamala Harris. There is nothing about her that is warm, likable, or real. It's the opposite of what people want in their politicians.
It is. We really are at an inflection point, and this is the kind of panic that it shows in every single step. But it's up to the Republicans now to make sure that Americans get the right amount of information and the correct information. Karoline, Clay, Miranda, thank you. See you again soon. All right.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.